to lo-fi. Okay, so I've been going to some left-wing progressive trainings to prepare for this run for Congress that we're about to take on. This is something that was sent to me, all the trainees. Dear Alice, Decommodified Edition, Solarpunk Anime Ambient, Ambience with no ads. And so this is Solarpunk. I think I've heard of it before, never, not real familiar with it, but I watched this already, and it reminds me of the Venus Project. So we're gonna watch this. This is an ad. It's a minute and 19 seconds. It doesn't have any words. Then we're gonna watch another thing about Solarpunk, and then a Venus Project. So with no further ado, dear Alice. That was cool. Floating windmills. So very futuristic. Looks like permaculture in the future. So if you know anything about the Venus Project, this looks very similar. But we'll go over that towards the end of this. Healthy looking food, delicious. Lots of fresh produce, it looks like, in the future. Lots of plants growing inside too. Looks like a nice, beautiful future. And now I want to show you how our government, our leaders, president used to think, and the way we used to go about things, rather than now trying to save money, cut spending, and all whatnot.
But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too.
And the others too. So be it climate change, be it homelessness, be it food insecurity, there's many challenges that we need to take on. And not because they're easy, but because they are hard. Because we need to do it, and just some we need to do. And back to the Solarpunk. And what a Solarpunk future would look like. It might not be
This
easy.
video was made in collaboration with Androism.
But
Check
we
out
do
his
things
new
because
video
they're hard,
after
right?
this on even more
'Cause we need to
Solarpunk
do them.
solutions using the link in the description. The world is falling apart, at least according to the headlines in mainstream media.
Code red for humanity.
Nuclear war.
At our global climate crisis.
Right now, it's hard not to feel like we are on the verge of an apocalypse. But what if we imagined something different? What if we imagined worlds where nature, humanity, and technology not only coexist, but thrive together? Worlds that are rich with the greens and blues of abundance. Utopias? Maybe. But certainly utopias worth striving for. This is what Solarpunk is all about. A burgeoning genre of art and a movement that casts off the dystopian, technology-heavy futurism of cyberpunk and instead tries to build a world wherein people not only live well, but also live well with nature. Solarpunk is an exercise in imagination, but it is also a call to action. There are very real solarpunk solutions that already exist or are currently feasible that can start to bring about a solarpunk future today. And today we'll look at the viability of some of these solutions and answer the question, how can we build a solarpunk future right now?
Good question. I always forget to say like, share, subscribe. Well, not always, but most of the time. Like, share, subscribe, leave comments.
Before we dive into the promising tools that might aid our quest for a solarpunk world, we first need to understand the role of technology in the solarpunk community. As we will soon see, technology doesn't exist in a vacuum. Just because your community uses an electric tram or slaps some solar panels on their roofs doesn't mean they're solarpunk. Yes, it's a step in the right direction, but employing technologies doesn't automatically make you solarpunk. Technologies depend on context. Solar panels under an imperialist fascist state do nothing to change the destructive and exploitative relationship with the planet and other humans.
That doesn't matter if it's a Democrat or Republican. They're the same. They're going to be fascist. You're just going to go back and forth, passing the ping pong ball.
Plundering the imperial periphery to build electric batteries is not solarpunk. As one Reddit user writes, solarpunk without the abolition of capitalism is just greenwashed cyberpunk. So solarpunk technologies and solutions should be seen as just one part of a much broader struggle to do away with capitalism and employ more ecological and ethical ways of being. So melding solarpunk with political tendencies like eco-anarchism and eco-socialism is essential to actually realizing those visions in the real world. In addition, solarpunk is neither always low-tech nor is it always high-tech. The world's solarpunk envision technologies applied in appropriate situations in order to foster harmony between people and their environment. The application of these technologies can be diverse. In one town, this could mean passive cooling housing, while in another, it could mean communal living decked out with solar panels. It could mean mechanized apple pickers, or it can mean shovels in hands in the dirt, or it can mean both at the same time. What matters is that those solutions work to strengthen the relationship between communities and the land around them, as well as lessen the work needed to live a comfortable life. So with that said, what exactly would some of these technologies look like? Drive out into the high desert surrounding Taos, New Mexico, and you'll find beautifully unique houses that look as if they were crafted by the elements. These are earthships, dwellings that are the brainchild of architect Michael Reynolds, who in the 1970s sought to build a completely off-grid house that could withstand the extreme cold and heat of New Mexico. Earthship design principles focus on core tenets like passive heating and cooling, using recycled and local materials, and fostering self-reliance through integrated greenhouse gardens. And all of these methods are implemented in ways that look right out of a solarpunk drawing. The foundation of an earthship, for example, is built with recycled tires stacked on top of each other with dirt tightly packed into them. This not only provides structure, but as earthship dwellers like to say, it acts as a battery. The sheer mass of an earthship's walls soak in the warmth of sunlight during the day, which the roof is perfectly angled to let in the right amount, and then the wall slowly emits that collected heat out into the room during the cold of the night. As a result, some earthship owners claim to not need any external heating sources. The earthship is built around living with and embracing the natural world. It does so with technologies that are tangible and readily available. It uses other people's trash, like old tires and glass bottles, and the dirt around them to build something that's appealing and comfortable. And it does this in a way that ties people to the land. But to live in an earthship is not some Eden. There are drawbacks. For one, recycled tires do eventually break down, releasing toxic gases into the air. Reynolds and earthship builders claim that plastering the walls around the tires protects homeowners from this off-gassing. But other builders claim that you would have to be constantly sealing up cracks to have peace.
I would think using hempcrete might be better, or instead of plaster, just concrete the walls, like use the tires like bricks, right? You know, lay them out and then just go over with concrete.
And claims of independence from the water grid through rainwater collection are dubious in desert climates like Taos. And if you're hoping to heat your house through sunlight in an Earthship in a cloudy area, think again. While Earthships certainly aren't perfect, they offer up promising ideas of how to integrate nature into everyday living. They are a solarpunk answer to the question, how can we live comfortably with the natural world? They won't work everywhere, but individual pieces of them can be integrated into housing anywhere. Imagine homes using passive heating and cooling systems so they don't have to run the air conditioning or heating all the time. Imagine building gardens within a house. Imagine incorporating filtered rainwater into our plumbing, and imagine building a house with as many local and recycled materials as possible. The Earthship shows us that there are already ways to live well and lightly on the land right now, and it does so in a way that melds low-tech and high-tech ideas into a beautiful structure. This is Solarpunk, finding the appropriate technologies to build aesthetically stimulating and livable dwellings that tie us tightly with the landscape. Along the Hudson River in New York, Sam Merritt runs a zero-carbon shipping company. No, he doesn't run a fleet of electric trucks, nor does he bike. Merritt ships local goods up and down the Hudson River by sailboat. That's right, in the age of massive gas-powered cargo ships making globe-spanning trips, Merritt has created a fossil fuel-free cargo company based on sailing. One that is at the whims of the weather and the seasons, but makes the buyer appreciate the ebbs and flows of the natural world around them. This epitomizes a solarpunk future. Solarpunk envisions a world in which the technologies we use help us to appreciate and tune into the rhythms of the planet. And sailing in the 21st century has the potential of making that happen. Merritt shows us that it's already feasible to do on a small scale. And when considering that sails and ropes for ships could support a thriving hemp farming operation that sequesters thousands of tons of carbon with each crop, sailing cargo locally is an appealing possibility. But sailing in the 21st century runs the gamut of low-tech rigs like Merritt's schooner to futuristic technologies that are beginning to see their first real-world tests. Right now, engineers and cargo companies are in the midst of wrestling with the polluting reality of international cargo and are on the hunt for high-tech solutions for big shipping. While Solarpunk emphasizes the local, it can still embrace global travel and transport with emerging technologies, like retrofitting cargo ships with column-like sails that reduce fuel use by possibly as much as 30%, or future-thinking cargo ships with retracting rigid sails. A solarpunk future that involves international cargo recognizes the need for these high-tech sailing solutions because they are appropriate for their high seas context. But what's important is that these high-tech cargo ships are not viewed as a silver bullet. In a regional or local setting, hemp sails and schooners are a much more suitable and nature-reliant solution. So while a solarpunk future might envision rigid sail cargo ships traversing the open ocean to facilitate a thriving hemp trade between continents, a smaller canvas sailboat might bring those goods the last mile to markets. But at this point, you might be thinking, wait, wouldn't sailing mean that there'll be delays? Won't everything take a long time to get to me? To that, I would say that Solarpunk does not prioritize Amazon Prime-like convenience. That kind of convenience is something people in the Imperial Core will have to learn to do without. It comes at the cost of the planet and the people forced to work grueling conditions.
So I think if you set it up correctly, that you don't really have to lose the convenience that we're kind of used to now. Like maybe a little bit of it, but as you're going to see with the Venus Project, I think they use technology a little bit more, but use it within the nature aspects like Solarpunk.
Conditions and hours to get that package to your front door in one day. Solarpunk envisions a world wherein we don't have to crush people and the planet in order to find comfort in our lives. So yes, things might be a bit slower, but I would gladly slow down my life if it meant that my community and my surroundings thrived.
True that.
Although Earthships and sailing cargo do exist in this world, they aren't prevalent. Looking around, I usually see the plumes of smoke rising from cargo ships, not the undulating waves of sail.
Hawaii.
And I see concrete buildings instead of earth-packed dwellings. So What's holding us back? There is no simple answer. There are a huge host of reasons, but when it comes to these
The Democrats and the Republicans, the capitalists, are holding us back.
Beautiful solarpunk worlds that artists around the world have begun to render, I can't help but think about, you guessed it, capitalism. The profit-centered global economy we've built has driven us to create technologies that, for the most part, function to expand margins and make more money for the capitalist class. Ideas and inventions that can't compete in the market, regardless of whether they are zero carbon or build community health, are pushed to the margins. Merit's sailboat cargo company is a novelty because it can't compete with the monopoly of Amazon Prime or industrial shipping companies like Maersk. Solarpunk dares us to dream of a world outside of capitalism because even though these technologies do exist right now under capitalism, they are not widespread or quote-unquote successful. The labor required to ram hundreds of tires full of dirt for an Earthship, for example, would bleed someone's bank account dry, while the wind-reliant nature of a sailboat means that it can't provide the regimented convenience of one-day shipping. Combining low and high-tech solutions, Solarpunk demands a future built not on profit, but instead on community and a strong relationship with the natural world. So instead of focusing on technologies that make the most profit, Solarpunk urges us to seek out ideas and tools that deepen our interpersonal relationships, as well as our ties to the earth beneath our feet. If you want to learn about even more tools that we can use right now to forge a...
Okay, so I'm going to leave a link to this, and I'll also leave a link to the Andrewism, but if you go to this one, you'll find the Andrewism. Next, we're going to go over the Venus Project, and that'll be, so that'll be next. And now we will finish with the Venus Project, designing the future. Social planning here.
A nation without a vision of what the future can be is bound to repeat past errors over and over again. This brief video will outline a vision designed to avoid old mistakes. A vision of efficiency, sustainability, and intelligent planning can lead us into a marvelous new world of unlimited human potential. Designing the future. This vision could be a showcase of what the world can be in our cybernated age. Science and technology could be used for human betterment and the restoration and protection of the environment, serving as an example of the intelligent application of a systems approach. While some people advocate the restoration of existing, worn-out cities, these efforts fall short of the potentials of modern technology. Repairing outmoded cities results in higher costs of operation and maintenance.
The CFO role is changing.
It is actually less expensive in the long run to build newer cities from the ground up than to restore and maintain old ones. A total city system approach requires overall planning to attain a higher standard of living for all the city's occupants. The circular arrangement efficiently permits the most sophisticated use of available resources and construction techniques with a minimum expenditure of energy. This can make available to all people the most advanced amenities that modern science and technology can provide. It could be the hub and learning center where people from all over the world visit and hopefully emulate this design approach in other parts of the world. Design considerations for these new cities include its overall functioning, its ease of assembly, the reduction of maintenance, efficient transportation, and its simplicity and durability. This will include the flexibility to permit ongoing and later changes. The city would function as an evolving, integrated organism rather than a static structure. This systems approach envisions assembling entire cities by standardizing basic structural elements, which are prefabricated in automated plants and assembled on site. Many of these buildings would be comprised of standard units that can be arranged to meet many different requirements. This approach means that these cities can be extremely cost-efficient because only one sector needs to be designed, which can be duplicated repeatedly for the completion of an entire city as totally integrated city systems anywhere in the world. The outer perimeter will be part of the recreational area with golf courses, hiking and biking trails, and opportunities for water sports. Inside this area, a waterway surrounds an agricultural belt with indoor and outdoor agriculture. Continuing toward the city center, 8 green sectors provide clean, renewable resources of energy using wind, solar, and heat concentrators. Waste recycling and other services are located beneath the city. The plan utilizes the best of clean technology in harmony with the surrounding environment. The residential district features beautiful landscaping with lakes and winding streams, a wide range of creative, innovative apartment buildings, and individual unique homes will provide many options for the occupants. New and innovative methods of fast mass construction for housing and building systems will inject composite materials into a mold and then extrude the form upward. In some cases, multiple city apartments can be produced as continuous extrusions, which are then separated into individual units. Cranes transport these prefabricated dwellings to site locations. They are then lifted and inserted into a support structure. The apartments are lightweight and high strength. All of the dwellings are designed as self-contained residences. The outer surface of these efficient structures serve as photovoltaic generators, converting solar radiation directly into electricity for heating, cooling, and other needs. The thermocouple effect will also be used for generating electricity. The wide range of individual homes are prefabricated and relatively maintenance-free, fire-resistant, and impervious to weather. With this type of construction, there be little or no damage from floods, earthquakes, or hurricanes. Their thin shell construction can be mass-produced efficiently and economically. New energy-efficient systems can be installed to supply enough power to operate the entire household. Adjacent to the residential district are planning, science, and research centers. 8 domes surrounding the central dome house art, music, exhibition, entertainment, and conference centers. Lovely parks, lakes, streams, and waterfalls are located throughout the entire city. The central dome, or theme center, contains schools, healthcare, shopping, communications networking, and childcare. It is also the core for most transportation services, which move people by transveyors horizontally, vertically, and radially anywhere in the city. This minimizes the need for automobile transportation, except for emergency vehicles. Transportation between cities would be by monorail. The central dome will eventually house a cybernated complex, which serves as the brain and nervous system of the entire city. It projects a 3D virtual image of Earth using satellite communication systems which display information on weather, agriculture, transportation, and the operation of the whole city. This cybernated system will use environmental sensors to help maintain a balanced load economy, which avoids overruns and shortages. For example, in the agricultural belt, electronic probes monitor and maintain the soil conditions, water table, nutrients, and more. This method of electronic feedback can be applied to the entire city complex. With computers now able to process trillions of bits of information per second, they are vital for arriving at correct decisions for the management of these innovative cities. The architectural structures themselves will be jewels of future possibilities, with a wide variety of exhibition buildings. Many of the displays will depict not what the future will be, but what it can be. Some of the cities may be total enclosure systems, which are self-sufficient. These massive structures would contain residences, parks, recreation, entertainment, healthcare, educational facilities, and more. Everything built in these cities would be as near to a self-contained system as conditions allow. In these total enclosure arrangements, the skyscraper assures that more land is available for parks and wilderness preserves, while at the same time eliminating urban sprawl. Wherever possible, geothermal energy can be harnessed. Geothermal power offers the possibility of an abundant source of clean energy. This source alone could provide enough energy for the next 1,000 years. National transportation systems would include a network of waterways and canals. These bodies of water could minimize the threat of floods and droughts by diverting floodwaters to storage basins. In addition, these canals could supply water for irrigation, fish farms, and recreation. The canals can also be used for desalination using a method of evaporative condensation. In some instances, ships could serve as floating automated plants, capable of processing raw materials into finished products while en route to their destinations. Huge ships and submarines, with many removable and interchangeable compartments, will carry freight across the oceans. Rather than separate containers, an entire freight section can be automatically disengaged at the port. Bridge designs would be greatly simplified, and bridges can be made corrosion resistant. They would be prefabricated and transported to the site by twin-hulled catamarans. On some bridges, trains could be suspended beneath traffic lanes.
Attention retirees.
Colonization of the oceans is one of the last frontiers remaining on Earth. Prodigious oceanic city communities will evolve as artificial islands, floating structures, undersea observatories, and more. These large marine structures are designed to explore the relatively untapped riches of the oceans and provide improved mariculture, freshwater production, energy, and mining. This could offset land-based shortages. They could also provide almost unlimited riches in pharmaceuticals, chemicals, fertilizers, minerals, oil, and natural gas. Ocean cities would be resistant to earthquakes and greatly relieve land-based population pressures. The population would vary from several hundred to many thousand. Underwater oceanic viewing and research facilities provide expansive panoramic observations of the undersea world in its natural habitat without disturbing the ocean environment. Unsinkable floating sea domes will attract those who prefer unique offshore or island living. In the event of inclement weather, they could easily be towed ashore, mounted, and anchored to elevated support structures. Mariculture and sea farming systems are used to cultivate and raise fish and other forms of marine life to help meet nutritional needs. These marine enclosures are designed as non-contaminating integral parts of the ocean environment. If we use science and technology with human and environmental concerns, it could be a vivid future showcase of the human potential when working together to preserve the greatest gift we have, the resources and beauty of our planet Earth. In the final analysis, we are one people and share one planet. If you desire more information on any of the systems seen in this video, visit our website at www.thevenusproject.com.
That there's Jack Fresca. That's my favorite scientist of all time. So I see Solarpunk kind of as if we do it later. If the capitalists keep control and say we keep destroying the world, then eventually like stuff will get so bad that we'll have to change, right? And I think it's good. I don't want to get that bad that we have to change. I see designing the future of the Venus Project as more if we take control now, as if the progressives now take control, and we get a hold of things before it gets too far, and we can design the future, kind of like China does, right? If you look at China, their cities are really nice, really big. They got all these, like, they got light shows on their buildings and whatnot. But one thing is, like, the reason to do this, there's many, and you could pick your favorite one, or you could pick whatever. In a situation like this, we would have Medicare for all. But also in a situation like this, we're looking at climate change, we're looking at housing, we're looking at food security. And my one thing is this: if you don't believe in climate change and you think food security, you're like, oh, I'm a capitalist. I don't care. You know, you gotta work hard and you earn what you get. If you don't have nothing, then that's on you. The main thing, if you don't care about none of that, the main thing they talked about is natural disasters. They didn't talk about a whole lot, but you could build like those floating things, and then you don't have to worry about earthquakes. I would think if you had bad weather, you might have something where you could just submerge them and pull them under, so the waves go over them and stuff, and you just wait underwater for a while. But building for earthquakes, tornadoes, fires, like the permaculture part, all that stuff. If you designing our cities to be safe wherever they're at, you can't beat that. Like, why would you not want to do that? So for that one reason only, we should want to design our cities. And the only group, the only people, the only political party that's talking anything like this is the Green Party. So if you're down for permaculture, if you're down for cities that are planned, that involve people and are planned for people to thrive, you want to look at the Green Party. If you like what we got going on, if you like homelessness going up, if you like the ruthlessness and the competitiveness of capitalism, then let's keep going back between the Democrats and Republicans. We'll keep this competing and keep trying to crack the world open and see if we can do that. But if you get your information from across the spectrum, you might be going green pretty soon.